Hey, everybody. I'm Matt.
I'm Deanna.
And this is Chasing Balance. Okay. Sorry we missed you a few weeks. I missed you a little bit more. Deanna was the solo queen over here doing an episode all by herself, and she got comments and views and all that stuff. So congratulations to you.
Thanks. I tried.
That was the weekend before that. I had a horrible toothache, and then it moved to my face, and my face got swollen, and then I got behind on work because I was the State Puff Marshmallow Man face and in pain.
And allergies were on top of that.
And allergies. So I had to take some time off of the podcast and get kind of caught up and, I guess, recentered. So since then, we've had a lot of different things going on. As you can tell probably on the camera, if you're watching us on YouTube or watching any of our shorts, you can see that we are nice and tan.
Yeah, it's glorious. The sun has come out.
Yep, we have some good weather, but that also means that school's out for summer.
Yep, one kid down. Yeah, 2 more to go. Their last day is tomorrow.
Yep.
But also June is our busiest month out of the year.
Yes.
It is crazy busy with 2 birthdays, Father's Day, all of the school end of the year bullshit that they throw in.
Parties, picnics, Fields Day, Cedar Point, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, so we're surviving. Barely.
Concerts, graduations for kindergartners.
Yeah. That was cute. I like that.
Yeah. So this episode, since school's out for summer, did you want to try to sing it better than I did?
No.
Okay.
I think you
we
did
could
a great
harmonize
job.
it together. You ready?
Okay.
School's out for summer. What's the beat after that?
Dun, 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 dun. Well, I'm terrible
I
at the
don't
beats.
know. All you do is listen to the beat. Anyways, all right, let's move on. So this episode is going to be called Summer School. And no, we're not talking about the average summer school where you take your kids at the butt crack of dawn and make sure that their summer is absolutely horrible because their teacher said that they're not doing well.
Right.
This is more so along the lines of beating that summer slide where our kids can keep learning over the summer break.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to share our approach on what we did. Now, we didn't do this. We haven't done this for years. We started doing it last year.
Yeah, we probably started doing it during the pandemic.
Oh, right.
When everything was locked down. And then we kind of, since at that point in time, after everything opened up and everybody was back in school, you and I both were working from home.
Yep.
And we adapted it after that point. So it might be year 3. Yeah.
My memory is horrible. So I thought last year was the first year, but maybe last year is the first year that really made a huge impact on them.
I think so. Because we had a different approach last year than we did prior.
Yeah. So what we did is we required them that when they woke up in the morning, that they did at least, X amount of pages or a certain amount of assignments of schoolwork that they needed to work on, whether it was reading or math. They did that. And then after that, we told them that they had to do an hour of something that they loved. So they couldn't jump straight into electronics. And that meant whether it's go play baseball, whether it's go for a ride on your bike, whether it's painting, coloring, designing something,
Learning
making music.
a new instrument.
Right. Yep.
Yep.
So that's what we did. So that's how we kind of beat their brain turning into mush during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
The emphasis of this this show or this topic, this podcast, is the importance of maintaining the academic engagement during summer to prevent learning loss. And we did do our research, so we do have a few, snippets that we can put into the show notes showing that we aren't wrong on this. But
sometimes we are, but
sometimes we are. And sometimes it might be a one-off and it only works on, 3 out of 5 kids. I'm not sure, but it's worked on our 3. And we've even had And I think that's why it snuck up on me, or it stuck out to me more, is because Braden's teacher noticed it within the first week of school.
Yeah.
With
She
math.
she was definitely she came to us and was like, what did you guys do? Like,
Yeah.
this is awesome.
Yep.
Like, we barely have to do any recap with him, which was awesome. And then it kind of set the tone for the rest of the year for him.
Yep.
Because while everybody else was in Braden's school specifically, they branch out in different groups. So they have clusters because it's a Montessori base, so it's multi-age. So it's third, fourth that he's in. And they branch off into mini groups. So one teacher will take the advanced learners in that subject, and then the other teachers will take the learners that are in that in their right spot and
on
then
pace.
guide them. Yes, on pace, and guide them and teach them that way. And then throughout the year, some students will kind of gravitate into different groups.
Uh-huh.
But with Braden specifically, she was like, I didn't have to do any recap with him. He was above where he's supposed to be. Like, this is awesome. Great job.
So let's talk about, what we did for them each, right? And then we can kind of go into the summer learning loss and the structures of the routine, right? Like, So for Max, yes, last year he was, we'll start with the youngest. So Max was 3.
Yep.
So what did you decide? And Deanna planned all this out. I helped implement it, but she planned all of it out. So what did you decide for Max at 3 years old?
One of us has to be the micromanager.
That's true.
So with Max, because he was 3 going into 4 or turning 4 and into pre-K, I really focused on motor skills.
Okay.
So we did a lot of stuff that was like fine motor. So like we focused on scissors, holding pencils, a lot of drawing, a lot of coloring. But then also he works best with manipulatives. So we used a lot of like Play-Doh and beads and like sorting out popsicle sticks, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And we focused on numbers. He thrives in that area. He's very mathematical based. So I tried my hardest not to focus on that side of things.
And for the hand thing, the hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
We also got the dry eraser tracing books.
Yes.
So you tried to obviously stay in the lines, exactly on the line, to trace that line, to work on those fine motor skills, to try to do that, cutting out the paper, like you said, the craft kits that you bought them. And then you also helped work on the letters with them when we had those popsicle sticks.
Yes.
Or the ice cream or whatever it was.
He doesn't like the alphabet. I don't feel like he really aligns with that.
You don't need to use the alphabet. Nobody uses that.
That is one of the main things that he doesn't. It's not his thing. Yeah. It's okay. I get it. But I tried my hardest to do that as well with letters and matching up the large and the small letter with popsicle sticks or different other sorts of manipulatives and that kind of stuff. And then he also is very nature based. So we did a lot of I think we did the butterfly thing for him. Like got the caterpillars and
grew them into butterflies.
And, grew them into butterflies. Yep. So we kind of brought in science into it. But yeah, he was good. His was pretty easy and straightforward. But for Braden, we got some books that were like summer activity books, and it like focused on all the categories, all the art, English, math, social studies, science, all of those areas. And it was just like one big book. We got it on Amazon.
I feel like he focused mostly on math.
So that was the thing with Braden. Like we started off with, okay, after you get up, you wake up, you have your breakfast, you kind of wake up, then you guys have to do your hour. And with him, we started off with, okay, do X amount of pages, and then we will go from there. he didn't like that approach.
He would cry every morning.
Yeah. So then it shifted into, well, what do you want to focus on? What's the one thing that you want to focus on this summer? And he said math. And I said, okay, we'll do math. We'll focus on math. And then I also had him do spelling because he doesn't believe that that's necessary, but it's an area that he does need to work on. So we still had a little bit of push and pull in that regard, but
also like what he worked on during the summer, like math, he excelled at in school. And then during the school year, he could work on things that weren't necessarily his forte, like his spelling tests.
Yeah. Right? Yes. And writing. He does not like writing. And his teacher did, after she gave me that amazing compliment that he's excelling in math, she did say, or mention that, it's going to take a village with his writing.
Hey, you know what?
Which is facts.
We don't need negatives with the positives. Just give us positives.
It was 100%.
This is a Montessori school. You don't talk bad about my kid.
No, they had every right to. But no, at the end of the year, he's writing a lot better. They did work on it with him and encouraged him, and he's doing a lot better.
And Preston was the easiest.
Yeah, he pretty much just he was there and present and did his work, and
he knew what needed to be done, and then he did it. Yeah. So, and we'll link stuff in our show description. I don't know.
We could. I mean, we used a lot of things, and I mean, we didn't go balls to the wall. I stayed within a budget. It wasn't like super expensive by any means in what we purchased.
And we're not sponsored by any of these or get affiliate monies for them or anything like that. So it's what worked for.
Nobody pays
us. No, nobody pays us. Nope. So understanding. So we're going to move on. So that's what we did now. And feel free to send us a message or anything like that. Text us. Send us an email or hit us up on social if you don't have any questions about how we went about putting the schedule together. But really, the structure of it was no electronics when you wake up. You're obviously allowed to wake up, have your breakfast, get your good stretches in, whatever you want to do, and then do a couple pages of your assignments or homeworks or books or whatever it was, and then work on something that you love for an hour. And by then it was probably, 9, 10 o'clock. And then they could, they typically would play like 20 minutes of a video game and then go outside because their friends would come over.
Yeah.
So it really limited the electronics.
It really did. And then also, we aren't crazy. I mean, we did allow them to like glide into summer. So I feel like we gave them like a week or two where it wasn't a requirement.
Right.
And then once July hit, that's when we were kind of like, okay, now we need to kind of buckle down and, this is what's required for the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
And I think they were kind of adapted it better when we gave them that break.
Yeah. It's everybody needs a time off, right?
Yeah.
But, I'm already kind of dreading it, like us telling them, hey, we have to get into this routine. But it is what it is. We've already kind of warned them. I've already preemptively warned them like, hey, just remember, we're going to be doing some work during the summer. So you just got to make it fun. We can do prizes, just like rewards, things of that nature for everything that they get done or accomplished. And there is going to be struggle, but it's going to be worth it. Those 2 or 3 first weeks of them possibly fighting you on it is going to be worth it in the grand scheme of things because we now understand the summer learning loss.
Yeah.
So there's this summer slide, and that's the tendency for students and kids to lose something and some of their achievement gains that they made during the previous school year. And there's key stats. Now, I looked up some stuff online. Like, I already knew this from other teachers telling us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even a week ago when Preston got out of school, his language teacher or his ELA teacher sent us an email and just said, here is a list of books that Preston should read through the summer, or your students should read through the summer, not just Preston. If they read 2 of these books, they'll already be steps, leaps, bounds ahead of other kids. If they only read 2 books.
Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, I read her email and I was like, I'm good.
Why?
Only because Preston has always been a very like active reader.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, unless it'll, I don't know. Do you remember that in like high school when they would give you like the summer reading list,
Right.
and it was all just shit books that you hated?
I mean, if there was the pizza Book It involved, I would have done it.
I didn't.
Yeah. Did you guys have Book It?
I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't feel like we did.
Can't
and
imagine
if we
it was
did,
only
I
like
didn't
a
do
Canton
it.
side. Like,
yeah.
You know, I'm sure they had it on the east side.
Yeah. I think they did. But I didn't do it. I mean, my reading level was so low when I was younger that I just didn't participate in that. I mean, even in high school, I was omitted from reading all of the classics. It wasn't until I actually graduated that I read the classics that were required in what?
Well, you know, what's funny is like, I'm like, you and I were having a conversation like 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, you know what? I really wish that I would have paid attention in high school and middle school to these books. Like, what was it?
12 Angry Men.
12 Angry. Well, we watched a movie on that, so I didn't have to read it. But
that's what
are the other ones? Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
What
and
else
then
is there? Moby Dick. I don't know if you read it. To Kill a Mockingbird. So like, I never read any of that stuff. I would participate in class. They'd tell me I need to like read popcorn style or whatever, and I would read, and I would never. And you bought me for that Christmas. You bought me all those books.
I did. And
there's so much dust on them. I never read them, and I should.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess there's got to be a reason why the school board of education wants you to read that, but who knows?
I'm sure those books have changed now.
Like omitted a bunch of stuff, or just changed what they require you.
Yeah.
To, yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure that they still don't require 12 Angry Men
because they're censored. I
don't know. I'm sure they're in a bonfire somewhere.
I'm sure. All right, let's not get political. So when we put the show together, we did look at Kuhlman.com and also the New Yorker .com is where we're getting some of this information from. And some of the key stats on this of what happens to students when they leave school for summer break, and if their minds aren't exercised, or I guess it's a good way to say it. If their minds aren't exercised and used like they were during the school year, students can lose up to 2.6 months of math skills and 2 months of reading skills by the end of summer.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realize that it was that bad. Okay.
By grade 6, cumulative summer learning loss can amount to over 18 months.
Wow.
I'm not making this up. I'll put these links in our show notes so you can read it. Between 70% and 78% of students experience a decline in math skills during summer, with the most significant drop occurring between 5th and 6th grades.
Yeah, 5th grade math sucks though.
What is 5th grade math?
It's like I feel like
start doing division and.
No, I think they start. I mean, that's what they're doing now for Braden. Like 3rd and 4th is when they do multiplication and division. Yeah. I feel like 5th was like, I don't know. It was weird. Like you had to. It was like the different type of the new math that we didn't do. But then there was also like a lot of. It wasn't it was like mini algebra, right? It was just like knowing all the shapes and like
geometry.
No. I just remember helping Preston and being like, bro, I can't.
And that's the thing. Like, and you, when I say this stuff, or when we read this stuff and I put it in the show and we're talking about it now, we say 2.5 months, 2.6 months. There's no way that someone's going to lose that much math skills. Or between 70 and 78% of students experience a decline in their math skills. Or some summer learning loss can amount to 18 months. And you think, how can that be? They're only out of school for 2 or 3 months. But if you put yourself back in shoes when your kid comes home with homework and they're like, Dad, Mom, I need help. And you have to walk away for a second like, how do you do this again? And then you figure it out again and it comes back to you. But I can see it. And we're in our 30s and 40s. And we forget that stuff. So I'm sure for a kid that has a million things going on in their mind, it's easy to lose that.
Oh, yeah. I believe it.
Now, students can lose up to 40% of a school year's learning over summer break. 40%. And I guess that's why they probably do all those
recap. It's
recaps
like
in the
a
beginning.
month and a half of recap.
And then they do the test, right? They usually do a test to see where they're at.
Yeah, what they retained.
Yep. So just to highlight, the biggest thing is that math skills tend to decline more than reading skills during the summer. And this is off of the New Yorker. And that's really what we focused on with Braden.
Yeah.
And that is really what shined through in his teacher's eyes.
Yeah. And Preston did a mix. He did like a Maj Podge of everything. He just took, I think that he focused on history because he was super into that.
Yeah.
So I got him a whole book of like all the things that you need to know about history and
like the wars and stuff like that. Yeah.
So it was like more comprehensive, and then it also offered like quizzes and that kind of stuff to test your comprehension of what you've like retained and stuff. But he was really into that, but he didn't really have a decline in his math based off of his testing scores.
He's always been analytical like that.
Yeah, I really wanted to focus on like life skills because I feel like
like street smarts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's why you give him a war book. If you ever find yourself in Nazi Germany,
this is
how to
what
get
you
yourself
do.
out. So there are benefits of a structured summer routine. Maintaining the routine with academic activities keeps the children's mind sharp and ready for when they go back to school. And I know that's kind of shitty to say and think about, like as soon as they get out for summer break, you're already trying to get them ready to go back into school. And no, there's some summers, don't get me wrong, there's some summers where I am just like, man, I wish that they could stay home for longer. Like it's just so enjoyable.
It is.
And there's some summers where I'm like, okay, I'm ready for them to go back to school.
Yeah.
So that's not what we're saying. We're not saying that we are doing this so we can get them back into school and we hate that they have the summers off. We're saying doing this consistently and having a schedule will get them ready, their brains ready, keep them sharp, and still in the same mindset of being open to learning.
Yeah. And it'll make that transition back into the school year a lot easier for them.
Yep.
And it'll be like, I just feel like there was so much before we started doing this. I feel like there was so much tension and so much pressure when they would go back that it wasn't enjoyable for like a good month or so because they were doing all those recaps and they were, not really thriving the way that they should have,
right,
because it was all information that they had to recall from months and months and months ago.
Yeah, they had to relearn what they learned the last 3 or 4 months of school.
Yeah. So I think that the last few years that we've done it's made the transition back to the school year a lot better. Also, our kids thrive on routine and structure. And once we, after we give them that little break in the beginning of the summer and we get back at it and they have a routine and they know what to expect, I feel like they just are a lot better. Like everything is a little bit more harmonious. And that's why towards the end of summer, we kind of don't want them to go because now we're a well-oiled machine.
That's the one thing that's on here too, is the next thing is the emotional and behavior benefits of it. Like having a schedule, not just with school, whether you choose to do this schoolwork or not during the summer, having a schedule during the summer really helps out, and I don't know if that's because they used less electronics, because if they wake up and they just put an electronic in their face right away for 2 or 3 hours, they have horrible attitudes. Yeah. They're probably hungry and hangry because they didn't eat because they've been on the switch.
And that's how I am when I go straight to work.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. Gross.
So that structure of us having that time, I think, did benefit with the behavior issues that we would typically have during the summer. Now we'll see with Max. Max will be a guinea pig. We'll see how he works out for this coming summer.
Yeah, he's a different breed of human. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And he's very wild.
Yeah, he's feral. We might just not have him do it.
I feel like instead of doing like, street smarts with him, I feel like we have to like domesticate him.
Yeah, just bring him in and pet him a little bit. Yeah. Put your hand by his food, make sure he doesn't bite you. Long-term academic success, which we can't see long-term right now. I don't think, a school year of, 9 months, 10 months is really long-term. But I can say the biggest improvement, Preston is a straight A student. He's 4.0. He was on the honors, so that was great. Once again, that's one thing that happened between our episodes of but yeah, Preston got on the honor roll, and he was presented an award for his middle school, his accomplishments.
Not just on the honor. He was on the honor roll consecutively throughout the entire year. So he maintained a 4.0 for the entire year.
Yep. So long term, we see that with Preston. It's kind of hard to judge because Preston he's the oldest. He's always been great at academics. Now, Braden, I think that is where we saw the biggest improvement, because before this year, every single night he didn't want to go to school. Every single morning he didn't want to go to school.
Yeah.
In this current year, he's been, I don't want to say excited, but has a more positive attitude. Yeah. And accepting that he's going to school, and he's actually trying to learn new things, and he's kind of being competitive with his friends at stuff.
Yeah.
Not sports, but actual education. He's being competitive with.
Yeah.
And then him wanting to do spelling tests.
Yeah. And his teachers did shift. So he got a new set of teachers this year.
Yep.
Because they have the same teacher for 2 years due to like the segments that they have.
Yeah.
And I think that he's really bonded well with both of them, and that helped. And then he also got a few friends that he's like super close to. But I think that he's had this mentality that it's not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
That the structure of school is not worth it, and he doesn't want to do it. And I think that's kind of transitioned this year into, okay, I get it. I don't really like it, but I am learning, and it can be fun. And I don't necessarily want to continue doing this, but I'll do it.
Yeah, that's true. So Braden was huge. He was a huge success. Obviously Preston is too, but that's kind of
hard to gauge.
Like perfection is his status quo.
Yeah, he's been a lot more academic than he has been sports.
Yes. Yep.
And Braden has been the reverse. He's always been very sports, very
competitive.
Yeah, competitive when it comes to sports in that regard. He needs to have that healthy competition with peers in order to thrive, because he will beat them, and that's his mentality. So yeah, but Max was a success as well. His teacher saw a change over the summer. He definitely, and his success was more so stepping out of his bubble in his comfort zone and trying new things, and having more interactions, and being okay with
different friends.
Yeah, being okay with different friends and making new friendships.
So let's talk about practical strategies for summer learning.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about a certain subject, and then, or a certain part of this topic, and then I'll let you recap on what we kind of said. So daily academic time. Okay.
So for our kids, what works best is just an hour a day.
Mm-hmm.
It's not anything too extreme, and it's also, it's not small enough where it doesn't matter. So that's kind of like the time frame that we put on things.
So kind of small enough to make an impact, but not too much to be overwhelming.
Yes.
The next thing is educational resources. Now what we put down below in our show notes about what we purchased, there are tons, and you can speak on it. There are tons of free websites.
Yeah.
Even though and I understand it, we're trying to get them off of the screens.
Yeah.
But there are a ton of free websites if the budget isn't there to buy books, or if we're waiting on it to be shipped to you or something like that. So what are some of the websites and other educational
resources
that we used?
So I used Amazon, and I got like the learning books throughout for the summer for them to use. But then honestly, I pulled a lot of my information from like Instagram.
Yeah.
From other moms, or other parents out there with like activities and things that kind of fell in line with what I wanted to do or what our kids wanted to do for over the summer. And I mean, social media can be terrible, but it also can be like a really great source of information.
Depending on what you're looking for, right?
And I think that a lot of the activities and stuff that we did came from like Instagram or even Pinterest.
Okay. What are some of the websites? So there's ABC Yeah.
Yeah. ABC Yeah was good.
PBS Kids.
Yeah, PBS Kids for the younger ones. Yep. The bigger kids use Epic Books. And Cumin,
yeah.
And yep. What other ones did they use?
They do love that. What the hell is that called? They were all about it. They go Prodigy? In and out of it. No, not
Prodigy was good for math,
but the typing one for them to learn how to type.
Oh,
it's like Nitro Type or something like that.
Yeah.
And it teaches them home row and all that. I don't know if any of you listeners out there remember that, but I remember being in a computer class and you would be learning home row with a cardboard blocker, you know. Did you not do that? No. God, I'm old. Yeah, you'd sit in front of this like almost, I mean, it wasn't that old of a computer. It might have been the computer that I played Oregon Trail on when I was in elementary. Yeah.
It was an IBM computer.
Yeah, so but yeah, they would put you in front of a computer just like I am right now, and then you'd have your keyboard. It was one of those big, bulky, like thick keyboards, and then they would have a like a cardboard blocker that they would put over so you could not see what it was, and that's how you would do your tests and everything.
No,
you guys didn't do that?
No.
Wow.
Granted, I did do.
It was a class called keyboarding. That's all it was.
I don't think we had that. And maybe so. Yeah, we didn't have that at the school that I was. Well, no, we didn't have a lot of things. We didn't have art. We didn't have music. We didn't have like our gym
where
class.
Your dad lived at. You didn't have that stuff.
Well, I was in high school at that time.
That's when I took keyboarding. It probably was an elective, and I was probably like, well, I already have 2 gym classes. I might as well go keyboard. And I probably thought it was a music class. And I showed up.
Sorely mistaken.
What the hell is this box looking thing? What is this? What is IBM? I've never heard of this keyboard.
You're not that old.
Yeah. Well, you looked at me like I was old. You made me think it was like a green screen, 2-color Apple Oregon Trail.
Had like the printer that was
discs.
Yes.
Yeah, the continuous printer that you have to tear off a copy. Yeah, that's how it was graded.
No, but so I did it at home at like my dad's. He had like the software on his computer, so I would work on it then when I was younger.
You didn't take one.
Yeah.
And now that I'm thinking about it, it was an elective, but I'm really glad that I took that elective. I mean, I think back to that all the time, and I'm even telling the kids like, this is what you need to be doing.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, moving on. So that's educational resources. You can go to Canton High School if you want to learn how to type on an old keyboard. Reading programs. So we didn't do this, but this was a good thing that I was seeing online is that participate in your local library because they typically have summer reading challenges, and I think that's where I got the book from when I was a kid. Is that the library would put it on.
Yeah, and then they also have a lot of activities throughout the summer. Like our library does music in the park and that kind of stuff. So they keep it fun, and they also have challenges and activities like that throughout the summer. Like read X amount of fiction books, and then you get this.
Right.
Preston really likes that. The other kids not so much.
Another thing I should say is learning, like incorporate learning into daily activities as far as like showing cooking techniques. Like if your kid wants to bake some cookies and you tell them like a 2/3 or a 1/3 or a half cup.
Yeah.
Teaching that way.
That's also something that Braden did last summer he was working on baking and he was learning his fractions that way.
And then you can do grocery shopping, kind of put the math together. Like that's one thing that I put in. I mean, that's kind of more of like a life skill that I've told Preston before. Like if we go and we run and we get like pizza or something a little hot ready here, and I give him my credit card to go in, you know, I tell him, hey man, pay attention to how much you are spending. Make sure that no one's messing with you and they're not ringing you up for something that you didn't get. Short story real quick. He does that when I give him money, but now that he's got his own money, he went to the gas station to buy a pack of gum. And I was like, how much did you just spend on that? And he's like $1 or $2. And then we checked his account and he spent $5 on a pack of gum. I'm like, dude, that is not smart. So there's some life lessons there. Now, another thing that I saw online that people were doing were creative projects. Now, I don't know if I agree with this or not. Like the science experiments, sure. Perfect. National Geographic has some that you can pick up, or you can find some ways to do like volcanoes at home. Creative writing prompts, that would probably be good for Braden and Preston just to work on their creative writing. But one of the things was assigned book reports, and I'm not going to do that to my kid over the summer.
No. And I mean, we did a version of this.
A book report?
No.
Oh, okay.
Creative writing prompts.
Yeah.
A version of this when Preston was a lot younger. Because like Braden, he hated writing and he thought that English in itself was just stupid, and learning the grammar and the spelling was just extremely stupid. So what we would do, Preston and I had a notebook, and I would write him a note, and then I would pass it off to him, and then it was kind of just like a journal between the two of us.
I don't remember that.
And it was super secret. Nobody knew.
I guess so.
It was just between the two of us. And then we would talk about anything and everything. And, but I mean, the educational goal there was to get him used to writing and controlling the size of his writing, but then also working on the spelling of his words. And also it was fun. It wasn't something that he, necessarily hated doing.
Yeah.
And,
it was more of a game. It was more fun.
Yeah. And it was something special that he shared between just the two of us.
You were perfect with these segues today, I'm telling you, because the next thing is addressing the challenges and staying motivated. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's almost like we wrote the show.
Yeah.
Like you know where it's going.
It's crazy.
So being real, there's going to be challenges. We already said it, right? There's going to be challenges. Kids are going to fight back. You just got to stay motivated with it. You have to stick with it. Kind of just like potty training, right? You have to stick with it.
Did that face.
And just, there's going to be common obstacles that every single parent deals with. There's going to be resistance from your child. And we just have to find the balance between the learning and the fun, right? Offer incentives or rewards for completing an academic task or an academic week. Whether it's going to the ice cream parlor, whether it's going to, that just sounded old, whether it's going to the ice cream shop, whether it's going, out to eat for, each week, a different kid gets to pick what they want for what?
I'm just thinking about ice cream parlor.
Ice cream parlor? And take them to the barbershop.
But I mean, even on top of that, like if you don't want to do the reward system and it like if you're doing this and it's not working and it's causing a lot more drama than necessary, then like what we did with Braden, I just asked him what he wanted to learn. Like, what do you want to focus on?
That is another perfect segue, Deanna. Do you have the script in front of you? Allow children to have input in what they want to learn.
Yeah, because I mean, it's hard enough to get them to do it on a consistent basis in the summer, but once they have control over it, like they don't typically have in class because they're being told, this is what we're learning, this is what we're doing, blah, 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 giving them that freedom allows them to have a little bit more of that control and they'll put their best foot forward, I think.
Now, I will say this. I was thinking about telling Preston this the other day or asking like, hey, what do you want to focus on this summer? I think that could be a bad thing for him because he's older, he's wiser, he's smarter now. So he could pick something that he knows is going to be easy, that won't challenge him. And then again, like we can't go back and look at his grades and say, okay, well, he struggled in this, and this. He had a 4.0. So, we can't really pick something off of a negative.
Yeah.
So we just got to kind of go like a broad thing over what they're going to be learning next year.
Yeah. And I mean, with him, my approach, I was thinking that my approach would be like, okay, out of everything that you did over the school year, like what was the most taxing on you, and that what was the area that you really had to really focus in on and try your hardest. I know that you did great, but what did you struggle in? And then maybe go from there. But he's already said that his big thing that he wants to focus on this year or this summer is learning that trumpet solo from that one song.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, if he does that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So allowing your children to choose their learning activities. Obviously, Preston wants to do, or like you just said, Preston wants to learn that trumpet solo. He wants to become better at playing the trumpet for band. There's going to be some other things, obviously, like academics, not just the extracurricular things like band. And then we also talked about mixing academic tasks with enjoyable activities, making a volcano, science projects, science experiments, baking a cake, cookies, whatever else it is. If you're doing a home project, maybe allow them to measure something for you. If you're trying to, I don't know, cut a piece of wood, trim, whatever it is, measure it for you. Even just everyday like tasks. I mean, I let the kids paint
life
the swing
skills.
set. That's that turned into a nightmare, but hey,
move.
Yeah.
So paint was everywhere.
And then you got to emphasize to the kids that we are there for them, right? Like there needs to be parental involvement from us, but we're also there to be encouraging. And if a kid gets overwhelmed, I think just like with Braden, we just kind of like, dude, we're not doing this right now. You come back.
Yeah.
When you're ready and you calm down. Yeah. Yep. Take a walk around the house, take a walk around the block. As long as your face is in electronics, you are going to do the schoolwork today whenever you're ready to do it.
Yeah.
And that seemed to calm him down.
Yeah, so, for the most part.
Recapping, just kind of going through our notes here. We have to first understand the summer learning loss. And that is students lose up to 2.6 months of math skills and 2 months of reading, if not greater than that. Understanding that there is benefits to a structured summer routine. Whether you're doing the summer school, homeschool, learning books, or not choosing to do that, just having a structure, just like you do during the school year, at appropriate bedtimes, appropriate breakfast times, lunch, dinner, all that stuff. Having that structure is going to do wonders for you and your child to enjoy your summer. We shared practical strategies for summer learning, like the academic times, like how we, what we choose as far as, like an hour is our kids' time limit. Like over that, they'll kind of fall apart or they'll push us back more. We shared some educational resources, talked about the reading programs that the libraries, mostly local libraries, will offer. And then we addressed common challenges, and we just got to stay motivated.
I will say, I'm sorry, onto
no,
that.
Go ahead.
The library thing, I use Libby a lot, which is an app where you can download, you can request and borrow books through it.
Oh yeah.
On your Kindle, and you can read it through there. This year, Preston got a Kindle for Christmas or his birthday, one of the two. And he's really enjoyed it too. So obviously his Kindle is like on a kid's Kindle or whatever. I use Libby. He says that he wants to read a book. I use Libby. I request it and then I give it to him through the Kindle. And just throwing that out there in case anybody, I might have been the last person to be aware of Libby. I felt like I was.
No, it's a great resource, and you get them. And
you
you said that you can get them for free from the library if it's available.
Yeah,
or
if
you
it's
go on
available.
a wait list.
Yeah,
and you can get Kindle Unlimited too.
Yeah,
right, and that allows you to
share
and rent books as much as you want. Right,
as
long as they're available on Kindle Unlimited, which Preston's comic book Poetoe, Poetoe, is on Kindle Unlimited. If you want to download that, it is free with the Kindle Unlimited subscription.
And so, that's very cute.
Resources for further reading, parents, if you want to learn about this, the summer slide, and so we're not just making this all up. The National Summer Learning Association that talks about it. The Scholastic's parents talk about the summer slide with learning and reading, and then Kuhlman on summer learning loss. They also have that as well. You can read more information on that, so you can see that we're not just blowing smoke. Feel free to hit us up if you have any questions. We will try to list all of the resources that we found in here, the links, as well as some of the stuff that we purchased last year to help the kids out during the summer as far as books. And it'll range anywhere from our 3-year-old then to our 12-year-old. So you should be kind of there in a good fit.
And if you have any ideas, if this is something that you already do and you implement in your family and you've been doing it for a while and you have some ideas to share, we would love them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because obviously
we haven't shopped yet.
We haven't. Tomorrow's the last day of school.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, we love hearing new ideas and everything. And like I said, I get a lot of my creative and those types of ideas from like Instagram and Pinterest. So if you have any to share, please send them my way.
Send them here. We'd greatly appreciate it. We are on all social media platforms, and you can download us and share our episode with your friends. We'd greatly appreciate it. We do thank you for tuning in, and we will try to get these shows back on track of being more timely and scheduled and weekly. We'll try. Unless my tooth acts up again or something.
We're going to give it the good college try this summer.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. I'm Matt.
I'm Deanna.
And this is Chasing Balance.
Real life parenting, one conversation at a time.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye.